If I ask a student of biology, define an egg, he or she would say, egg is a haploid cell. It is the largest cell in the body of a female. Egg is produced by the ovary. All these statements are true. But sometimes the word egg is taken in misleading light. Egg may be fertilized, egg may not be fertilized. In fact, the unfertilized egg is the real egg or the ovum. Once the egg is fertilized, it is no longer called egg, it is a zygote. And once the fertilization has taken place, the zygote begins to divide. In other words, the fertilized egg is very active in that it begins to divide, whereas unfertilized egg is quiescent, dormant. It will not undergo cell division anymore. It will not divide into 2, 4, 8 cells, something like that. No, it will remain as it is. Whereas once the egg is fertilized, it is called zygote, and zygote immediately starts dividing by mitosis, giving rise to a ball of cells, morula, blastula, gastrula, and so on. So the embryonic development starts once the zygote is formed. In other words, when the egg is fertilized. After the embryonic development, early embryonic development, the embryo is either destined to become a larvae, a young adult, a baby, or the embryonic development may continue without that stage, larval stage. It may continue developing till the baby is formed. In this particular case, the development is called direct, but in some cases, when the embryo develops into a larval form, a larva or a baby, then the development is called indirect. Larvae are variously called, named according to their properties, characteristics. For instance, the larva of mosquito is called wriggler because it wriggles in the water. The larva of beetle is called grub. The larva of a silkworm is called caterpillar. The larva of frog is called tadpole. Then there are various larval forms described as, depending upon their shape, size, cilia, etc., their characteristics, trochophore larva, tornaria larva, etc. They swim in the water. The characteristic of a larva is that it is endowed with a feeding apparatus. It is capable of feeding, undergoing some nutrition, and in this way carrying on different life processes except for one thing, that is reproduction. Larva is not supposed to perform reproduction because the larva is deprived of sexual organ. There is no gonad in the larva, no testis, no ovary. Only after metamorphosis, when it becomes adult, the reproductive organs develop. In the tadpole, frog tadpole, you find all organs, digestive organ, excretory organ, secretory organ, and so on and so forth, eyes, etc., locomotory apparatus, limbs, gills, but you don't find ovary or testis. Only after metamorphosis will you find ovary or testis in its body. So the larval life means that a life which is for a short time but independent enough to be able to take care of itself. In some cases, the development is direct because the nutritive material is supplied or provided all the time. Think about the egg of some lower vertebrates, reptiles, for example. The eggs are laid, the fertilization is no doubt internal, that is, fertilization occurs inside the body, but the eggs are laid, hatched outside in some cozy place. maybe in the sand, maybe in some secure place. The eggs are laid, then the eggs are incubated for a certain period of time. Whether the animal is able to incubate or not, but the egg is rested for a while. It depends upon the environmental conditions. It is left to the mercy of the environment. If the environment, for example, if the temperature is high, then of course most of the eggs, as in case of reptiles, will be hatched into females. And if the temperature is a little bit ambient, then the males will be hatched. So the sex of the individual depends upon the temperature also. It is left at the mercy of the environment. But when the eggs, that is fertilized eggs, develop inside the body of the mother, then of course they are secure. So the sex depends upon the chromosomes rather than upon the environment. The eggs may be laid depending upon the season. Some eggs that are laid in the sea in winter are called winter eggs, and some that are laid in summer are called summer eggs. The shape and size of the egg, particularly the size of the egg, also depends upon the environmental temperature, because the environment does have a bearing on the embryonic development of the animal. All these things have to be taken care of to study the eggs. In case of honeybees, eggs are laid, that is, eggs are released from the ovary, and as they pass down the reproductive duct, they are fertilized by the sperms stored in the body of the female. And these sperms have come when the female has copulated with the males. But in some cases, when the fertilization is external, that is, when the eggs are laid in water and the sperms are also discharged in water, then the situation is more hazardous. Nature has tried to overcome the hazards, and this is the reason why mammals have internal fertilization, and also the embryonic development for the full length occurs in the body of the female, that is, in the uterus.